If you're looking for refined sugar-free snacks for you or your children, then I've got some lovely recipes here for you. Today we'll be making chocolate chip cookies, chocolate cake and chocolate covered stuffed dates. These are simple recipes that are easy to make and require very simple ingredients. Before we start, please kindly subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Thank you. So first off, we'll start with our chocolate cake, and for this we start by removing the stones from 10 medjool dates. Now you want to make sure you remove all the stones in your dates because we're going to blend and we don't want the crushed stones in our date mixture. You can use any type of dates, but I prefer the medjool dates because they are softer and they're sweeter. Dates are lovely fruits that are high in fiber. They are high in disease-fighting antioxidants and are definitely a better option than refined sugar. Once all the stones have been taken out, we proceed to adding 1.5 cup of milk to a small pot and warm on the stove for a few minutes. Then we pour into our bowl of dates and leave the dates to soften in the milk for about 45 minutes to 1 hour. Next, we blend into a smooth paste. Once blended, we pour our mixture into a large mixing bowl, and that's the consistency we're aiming for, smooth without lumps. Then we add in our flour, cocoa powder, melted butter or oil, baking powder, baking soda and salt, and finally our chocolate chips. I'm using dark chocolate chips. And then we stir to combine, making sure not to overmix. Once all is incorporated, we pour into our lined and oiled loaf pan. We'll smoothen the top with our spatula to make sure all the sides of the pan are covered. And then we heat the pan against the table or counter a few times to remove any bubbles. Then we proceed to add a few chocolate chips on the batter and bake for 25 to 30 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. And that's our chocolate loaf cake. We'll leave to cool completely before cutting. As you can see, it's lovely on the inside as it is on the outside, with the dates giving it a lovely caramel texture. I should also mention that it's important to preheat your oven while preparing your batter. I forgot to do that, which is why the cake has a crack on the top, but it definitely takes nothing away from how delicious this cake is. Now we'll proceed to make our chocolate chip cookies, and we'll start by sifting our dry ingredients to make sure they are well incorporated. I have listed all the ingredients in the caption. Next, we'll get a smaller bowl and pour in our wet ingredients. And then we stir as much as possible till it's well combined. This might take a few minutes for the oil or butter to mix with the honey, but as you can see, it's now well incorporated. It really doesn't matter if it doesn't mix completely, just mix as best as you can. Then we proceed to combine the wet and the dry ingredients. Add our chocolate chips and stir. Now this might look difficult at first, but just keep stirring. And after a few minutes, you notice that everything begins to come together. After mixing for a while, the dough becomes tougher to mix with a spatula, and then we have to proceed to mix with the hands. And once everything is well combined, we form the dough into 2 balls and place in the fridge for 30 minutes. And the reason why we do this is so that the dough is easy to form to our desired cookie shapes. After our dough has been in the fridge for 30 minutes, we proceed to form into any shape we want. Now we have 2 options. We can either shape with our hands like I'm doing here, but I prefer using a cookie cutter because that way the cookies are the same size and they come out evenly baked. Now, to use a cookie cutter, we place our dough between 2 baking sheets, and then we press down and roll out flat. That way it's easy to use our cookie cutter to form shapes. Next, you take your cookie cutter and press into the dough. Lift gently, and as you can see, the cookie cutter gives a more defined shape and it also looks better. We try to form as many shapes as we can, and we roll the dough as many times as needed till we're done. As you can see, the cookie cutter dough looks more evenly cut compared to the ones we shape with our hands, but it really doesn't matter, just work with what you have. And I will proceed to bake in a preheated oven at 180 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. Now our cookies are baked, and I've got a few slightly overbaked cookies because I left for the entire 12 minutes. Now I should have taken out the flatter cookies at the 10 minutes mark and left the thicker cookies for 12 minutes. Also, some ovens tend to be hotter than others, so I suggest you check your cookies after 10 minutes to avoid overbaked cookies. However, they still tasted really good and everyone loved them. Finally, we'll be making our chocolate covered stuffed dates. I have been making this recipe at home for a long time and they're really easy to make. We start by taking out the seeds from our dates. I'm using a knife because we want to create a neat well inside the dates. Then we stuff some peanut butter into each date. We don't want to put too much so it doesn't overflow. Next, we add a few pieces of peanuts into each date to give it a crunch when you eat it. You can also use crunchy peanut butter. Then we dip each date in melted chocolate. Now, to melt chocolate, you simply cut a bar of chocolate into small pieces and heat in the microwave at 30 seconds intervals, stirring so it's evenly melted. Then we crush some peanuts in a sandwich bag and we coat the dates with the crushed nuts. I have also used hemp seeds to give a different variety. We then place in the fridge to set for about an hour or two, and then we have our date snack ready to be enjoyed. This is an easy snack that you can arrange in a jar and place in the fridge to be enjoyed anytime you feel like a sweet treat. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.